Late-stage capitalism ran its course and the world finally tapped out. Cities are husks, highways are quiet, and the only HR department left is a guy with a clipboard and a shotgun. And like the old joke goes, it's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. So of course the hustle doesn't die, never. Not even when the world does. So let's take a look at how you can make it after the apocalypse. You know, to get a head start. Think of it like a post-apocalyptic LinkedIn journey, where your resume starts with radiated lowlife and if you hustle hard enough, ends with you running the show. Today we are climbing the apocalypse hustle ladder. 7 rungs to ascend, each with its own perks, hazards and trade-offs. From Fallout's vaults to the Last of Us quarantine zones to Mad Max desert citadels, the same ladder appears. You start at the bottom, scavenging scraps, and if you play your cards right, you might just wind up owning the table. Along the way we'll uncover what fallen empires like Rome can teach us about rebuilding from ruins, what real disaster sociology reveals about how people actually behave when everything collapses, and what philosophers from Hobbes to Camus suspect about ambition, survival, and meaning after the end of the world. Ready to get rich or glow trying? You started a new position. Great. Step 1 starts now.
Consider again that dot. That's here. That's all. That's us. Now I have become very ready. Wake up.
Our ladder's ground floor is the Scavenger, the entry-level survivor. The office is a ruin and the paycheck is whatever you can loot. Pop culture is rife with this archetype. Think of Fallout's Lone Wanderer or Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead, combing abandoned ruins for canned food, ammo or a precious box of bullets. In Fallout even money is scavenged. Bottle caps become currency because they're portable and scarce after the war, mirroring how real societies turned cowrie shells or even cigarettes into money when official cash collapsed. These scavengers are the rag and bone folk of the apocalypse, living off the leftovers of the old world. In the world of early Mad Max or The Road, makeshift armor made from sports gear, shopping carts piled with scrap and campfires in gutted buildings. The scavenger's hustle is dirty and desperate, but it lays the groundwork for every higher step. History shows this role in every collapse. After Rome fell, people literally mined the ruins. Medieval builders scavenged cut stone and iron from the Colosseum for new buildings. After World War II, cigarettes replaced worthless money in occupied Germany, and people bartered stockings for butter on street corners. There's a rough fairness in such desperate times. Hoarders risk community wrath, but a few enterprising souls always manage to profit from scarcity, and we'll meet them on higher rungs soon. Philosophically, the scavenger lives in Hobbes' state of nature. Life is nasty, brutish and short, so you do whatever it takes to see tomorrow. Before anything can be rebuilt, you have to sift through the ashes of what was. The poet Charles Baudelaire once described a Paris rag picker stumbling home with a sack of salvaged junk, bending beneath a load of debris, the commingled vomit of enormous Paris, yet dreaming of grandiose projects. That's you. The trick is knowing when to stop digging through rubble and start climbing. And for that, you'll need something to trade. Once a scavenger gathers more than they can eat or shoot, they naturally climb to the next rung, the courier or trader. This wasteland entrepreneur connects people by moving goods and messages between scattered camps. In pop culture, Fallout New Vegas features your character as the courier, a nobody carrying a package who winds up shaping the Mojave's future. Think of Glenn in early The Walking Dead, risking runs into the city, or Max in Mad Max 2 reluctantly hauling a gasoline tanker. When society breaks, those who brave the lonely roads to link communities become vital. They're part freelance messenger, part traveling salesperson, the seed of a new economy in the rubble. History proves traders are linchpins in chaos. After Rome fell, caravans still crept along old roads, keeping commerce alive. In medieval frontiers, peddlers were often the only link between isolated villages. Even when the wreckage of World War II, black market couriers thrived. One American soldier famously traded a Leica camera for 5,000 cigarettes, then parlayed those into 134,000 cigarettes through shrewd swaps. And the gold rush lessons hold. In 1849 California, the real fortunes were made by merchants. Levi Strauss sold tough jeans, and Sam Brannan cornered the shovel market to become California's first millionaire. The old maxim was born: during a gold rush, sell shovels. Philosophers philosophers from Adam Smith onward would nod in approval. Trade turns self-interest into mutual benefit. Montesquieu suggested that commerce is a cure for destructive prejudice, gently civilizing those who engage in it. Even warlords figure this out. In Fallout New Vegas, the brutal Caesar's Legion forces its own coin and keeps roads safe from raiders, knowing that stable trade secures their power. Whether by law or by gun, trade needs security, and once merchants connect enough dots on the map, people will finally stop wandering and start building places worth defending. That person could be you, which takes us to the next rung, the settlement. Eventually, the roaming and trading give way to something more permanent, the settlement. This is when you stop living hand to mouth and put down roots, erecting walls, planting crops, maybe even laying down a few rules. In post-apocalyptic stories, a settlement is a major milestone. In The Walking Dead, Rick's group evolves from a wrecked camp to the walled town of Alexandria, complete with crops and solar panels. Fallout's Wastelands is dotted with scrappy towns like Megaton, built around an unexploded bomb, or Diamond City inside a ruined baseball stadium. Each has a marketplace, guards, and usually a leader, from benevolent elder to iron-fisted warlord. It's fragile, but it's a return of civilization. There's shelter and society again, even if one bad day or bad boss could bring it all down. Here too, history offers parallels. When Western Rome fell, people clustered in defensible spots, say a former fort or hilltop, under anyone who could protect them. That's how many early medieval towns started. Venice began when refugees settled on swampy islands. On the American frontier, boomtowns sprang up around gold strikes or new land. Tent camps turned into towns with main streets and sheriffs almost overnight. Thomas Hobbes would say folks accepted almost any authority to escape constant fear. Interesting. Sounds a bit like today, doesn't it? Anyway, in a lawless wasteland, a settlement often crystallizes around whoever can offer security. Whether it's the one with a water purifier or just the toughest fighter on the block. Sheriff, mayor, warlord, the title doesn't matter. The job is the same. Impose enough order so life can be more than day-to-day survival. Not all settlements are equal. Some enclaves try to preserve humanity's better side, teaching kids, tending to the weak, maybe even saving art and old books. One group's motto, survival is insufficient. Others devolve into cutthroat outposts, where might makes right. Think Mad Max's Bear Town, where the law is literally 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. But good or bad, even settlement brings back the hallmark of society, rules. However crude, local economies, trade or barter, jobs from farmers to guards, and a sense of community identity. Once a few settlements exist, politics returns. Neighbors may trade with each other or raid each other. Alliances form and grudges simmer. On The Walking Dead, towns like Hilltop and Alexandria eventually had to unite against Negan's saviors. Everything hinges on leadership. A tyrant can turn their town into a predatory gang, while a visionary might unite many camps into a regional alliance. But even the best local leader is mortal, and one town's peace lasts only as long as its walls hold. The next leap is to create something that endures beyond one settlement. Ready for the upgrade? Let's institutionalize the apocalypse. Running a single settlement is like running a little shop. Building on institutions is like founding a franchise. This is the next rung up. A settlement says, we survive inside these walls. An institution says, we survive because our structure is bigger than one place or one person. It's about making systems that can spread, scale, and outlast any individual. Enduring laws, ranks, and traditions. In apocalyptic fiction, institutions emerge when survivors want more than day-to-day survival. They want continuity and legacy. Think of the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout, a quasi-knightly order that spans the wasteland, preserving old tech and knowledge with strict codes and ranks. Or the Museum of Civilization in Station 11, where an airport community displays iPhones and comic books to remind people of the world before. History echoes this pattern. After Rome fell, the Catholic Church became the glue of medieval Europe. Monasteries preserved books and science like a Brotherhood of Steel for the Dark Ages. Later merchant guilds and the first universities arose with charters and apprenticeships, passing on craft and knowledge for generations. These structures outlast any one chieftain or town, binding people together under shared laws and learning. Institutions lock in stability and consolidate power. Hobbes and Weber remind us that real security comes when one authority monopolizes force, the state's legitimate violence. In the wasteland, once a group lays down the law and arms its enforcers, they decide who can use force and who can't. This can turn brutal. Philosopher Akil Mbembe calls it necropolitics, deciding who gets to live and who must die. Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road embodies this. He hoards water and rations it out sparsely. Do not become addicted to water, he mocks. Determining which of his war boys or citizens drink deep and which go thirsty. Institutions bring back long-term order and knowledge, but they also entrench hierarchies. Those at the top plan to stay there. By now we got Civilization 2.0 in motion. People can think beyond their own lifespans, and that raises the question of legacy. Who inherits the power, who remembers the past, and who shapes the future? This paves the way for our next rung, the survivors who bridge the old world and the new. Time to meet the true veterans of the apocalypse hustle. The dynasties and old guard survivors who saw the world end and lived to dominate the next one. Not everyone dies in the collapse. Some hardy or lucky or ruthless people live through the worst and persist into the new order. These long survivors bridge the old world and the new. They remember how things used to be, and they leverage that knowledge and any stashed resources to stay on top. In the Fallout universe, the idea is literal. Some humans become ghouls, mutated by radiation to live for centuries. It's the ultimate old guard move. Cockroaches and rich guys survive doomsday. The elite, who planned ahead, can literally live on and keep power in the apocalypse. Other fiction echoes this trope. Often there's a hidden bunker of pre-collapse bigwigs or an immortal tycoon pulling the strings. They carry that before time's aura that everyone else either admires or fears. After all, the person who knows where the last fuel depot or a secret bunker of food is can crown themselves king in the land of the blind. History offers real examples of old power surviving chaos. After the Black Death in the 14th century killed about a third of Europe, a few noble families who survived inherited the lands of all their dead rivals. Seems like the apocalypse is good for business. They're ending up wealthier and more powerful than before. And plenty of old money dynasties weathered wars and revolutions by adapting and cutting deals. The Rothschilds banking family rode out wars and crashes since the 1700s and is still influential today. The lesson? If you can ride out the catastrophe, you and your heirs might own the rebuilding. Once institutions stabilize, power often passes by bloodline. An aging wasteland chief who fought off raiders and built a town will want Junior to take over. Naturally. And just like that, you've got a dynasty. Nepotism might put a dud in charge eventually, but it's the fastest way to create continuity. Soon enough, you have a post-apocalyptic aristocracy, families hoarding resources and knowledge, treating leadership as their birthright. In other words, old money rises again, lording it over the upstart new money players, like you. It's both impressive and ominous how after everything, the same hierarchies reappear. We joke that billionaires or royals would survive the apocalypse in style, and they probably will. For those at the top, simple survival isn't the worry anymore. It's about staying in luxury. Congratulations, you've come from scavenging to feudal politics in a few decades. By now the wasteland is starting to look a lot like the old world. Real industries are revving back up, creature comforts are re-emerging, and even a bit of decadence is on the menu. We've moved beyond bare survival into profit, beyond basic order into high life. And it's time to crank post-apocalyptic capitalism into overdrive. Now let's talk big business. Civilization is truly back when someone reopens a factory in the wasteland. The enterprise rung is about scaling up, moving from makeshift survival to mass production and wide trade networks. For example, Fallout New Vegas features the gun runners, who actually manufacture new guns and ammo in a factory. A full-blown arms industry after the apocalypse. In Mad Max Fury Road, we see industry carved into fiefdoms. One citadel pumps out water, another refines gasoline, another churns out bullets, each ruled by a profit-obsessed warlord. Even in The Walking Dead, by the later seasons, the survivors are forging tools, reloading bullets, even running a homemade movie theater. Clear signs they've moved beyond mere survival into a budding society. History shows that industry rebounds fast once order returns. After the Dark Ages, mills and workshops sprang back to life as soon as trade routes reopened. After World War II, countries like West Germany and Japan rebuilt factories within a decade. In a wasteland future, survivors might even leapfrog by salvaging old world tech. Get an abandoned power plant running and you've jump-started electricity without reinventing it. Knowledge and people who have it becomes the real treasure, which is why those institutions from the last stage are crucial to train new engineers and mechanics. Once a few generations hum to life, towns can grow into cities and lone traders into merchant fleets. Call it Industrial Revolution 2.0, just with a bit more rust and leather. Economically, this stage is where big capitalism comes roaring back. It's disaster capitalism in action. Whoever controls a critical resource can make a killing, quite literally. Maybe a water baron cartel monopolizes the wells and charges extortionate rates, or a caravan guild controls every trade route and dictates prices. We've seen parallels in history. The British East India Company was a private business that conquered whole regions for profit. Even Fallout portrays this dynamic. The Crimson Caravan Company in New Vegas dominates trade and basically acts like a government. The line between corporation and warlord blurs when you're rebuilding from scratch. Turns out, capitalism is harder to kill than the undead. The wasteland economy might be even more cutthroat than the old one. No regulations, no safety nets, just raw survival of the fittest business. Hustle culture goes into overdrive. Picture people bragging about their kill or be killed grind set while toiling 18-hour days in a scrap metal factory. The enterprise stage is truly hustle on steroids. Fortunes are being made, but usually at someone else's expense. Also not very different than today. By now, life for the wasteland's 1% is getting comfortable, maybe even decadent. So what's next? Well, the final rung where survival itself becomes a high-stakes game of luxury and power. It's time to step into the wasteland casino, where the house always wins. At the top of the apocalypse ladder sits the house, a rigged stage where those in charge turn the new world into their private casino. By now, the top dogs aren't struggling to survive, they're making everyone else play their game, and the house always wins. Fallout New Vegas shows how it works. The Strip is a neon-lit oasis of vice run by the mysterious Mr. House and his 3 mobster families. They turned the Mojave into a giant casino where every traveler's bet gives House a cut. One clan, the White Glove Society, even gave up cannibalism to join high society. Now they wear suits and serve fancy non-human cuisine to charm rich tourists. Meanwhile, the masses gamble their last caps at rigged tables, and the elite rank in the profit. It's a twisted echo of old Vegas and Wall Street. A few at the top write the rules and everyone else loses. In the apocalypse, that casino metaphor becomes reality. The currency might be bullets or water instead of dollars, but the game is the same. A handful of players corner the market on something vital and bet with everyone's lives. Maybe a cabal of water barons gambles on who gets to drink, or a farmer lord auctions medicine to desperate buyers. The common folk live hand to mouth, while the wasteland's 1% treat life and death as their poker chips. Think the Hunger Games capital, a decadent elite throwing gaudy parties and bloodsport while the districts starve. You get the idea. History shows this pattern clearly. After the Black Death, some survivors feasted in half-empty halls. After the 1918 flu, the Roaring Twenties partied and speculated wildly until the crash. In the Wastelands casino stage, the new nobility lives large and distracts the masses with bread and circus spectacles. Extravagant and nihilistic? Absolutely. But it keeps the game rigged in your favor. In a way, we've come full circle. Give humans a few decades after Doomsday and they'll reinvent not just farms and trade, but inequality and indulgence too. It's absurd, rebuilding the world only to repeat the same follies. But human ambition survives the apocalypse intact. The house stage is the hustle's final form. The bosses hold all the cards and the whole wasteland is their casino. The world ended, but the hustle never died. It just put on a new suit. If you've climbed this high, congrats. You are the house, and the house always wins. Well, what a journey. Before you go, stop by HR. They want to have a word with you. Well, now looky what we got here. Thought the world was dead and buried, but somehow you wrote that sorry nag clear up the ladder. World's ashes, but reckon the hustle's still smoking. Time for your annual performance review. Wasteland Edition. Step 1, Scavenger. Congrats, buckaroo. You've mastered the high art of digging through garbage and calling it supper. Beans from a can, squirrel on a stick, maybe a bottle of water if you're feeling fancy. Ain't glamorous, but hell, you didn't keel over. Around here, that's as good as a promotion. Step 2, Courier. The gig economy survives longer than cockroaches. You're hauling other folks' junk across badlands full of bandits. Praying they don't ventilate your hide for payday. 5 stars would order again, if the Brahmin don't lay down and die first. Step 3, Settlement Boss. Well, I be Hodgtie. You quit roaming like a coyote and made folk come to you. You got yourself a patch of dirt, a ramshackle market, and neighbors pretending they love you cause you keep the water pump bumping. That's leadership frontier style. A smile for the boss, a knife for his back. Step 4, Institution Builder. Lordy mercy, you went and put a necktie on survival. Ranks, codes, uniform, hell, you turned "don't die" into a corporate slogan. Even invented meetings again. Just what the wasteland was starving for. Paperwork. Next thing, you'll be handing out expense reports. Step 5, Dynasty. Now we're talking long haul. You ain't just wrangling days no more, you're wrangling years. History ain't something you read, it's something you make folks memorize. You became the damn pop quiz none of us studied for. Step 6, Enterprise. Yee-haw, big shot. The Wasteland's first CEO. Monopolies, smokestacks, whole caravans dancing to your tune. You don't hustle for caps no more, caps hustle for you. Vendatron will tip his hat on the way out. And finally, Jackpot. The casino. Neons humming, whiskey's flowing, dice hitting the felt. Here's the trick, partner. You don't give a damn who wins or loses, cause the game's rigged 6 ways from Sunday. And the house always wins. And guess what, Trailblazer? You are the house. So congrats, survivor, you climbed every rung of the Apocalypse Hustle ladder. Collect your shiny new Apocalypse LinkedIn badge on the way out, right next to the Splatoon. Don't mind the smell, that's just success. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through the apocalypse in history, philosophy and pop culture, consider liking, commenting or even subscribing. It really does help the channel a bunch. And thank you to the Epic Opaque channel member. Check out my other videos for more optimistic outlooks on the future and see you next time. I don't know if I could make it past the first stage. Scavenging, maybe. Traveling routes? On my own? I don't think so. But you know, it's coming for all of us. There's no hope. Maybe there's hope. I don't know. I mean, if you really think about it, we're already there. Just looks a bit nicer still, but you know, same stuff. It's the same stuff.